Welcome back. So, this is part of a series where I normally take a challenge card and take it all the way up to Mythic. And it started off as a way to show beginners kind of my thought process on how to make a deck and what I think of when I make it. And so I'm going to try to get back into that a little bit. I start more with covering the meta and what to do to address those, and then build a deck with the challenge cards. So, Uh, that's gonna be the plan for today. So challenge card this month is Myriad Trash Technician. So I'm just gonna throw four of them in here, but we'll cover the meta first. So if you're not overly familiar with the meta, or if you are, VV is kind of the card to beat right now. Um, Basically, the deck uses Cauldron to take VV and apply its uh, ability to any card. So you're always having to deal with add max add X to its power, and whenever you cast a creature spell or a non-creature spell, it puts 1/1 on it, pings you. So a lot of ping, kind of infinite mana, infinite draw, uh, can be a problem. So ways to deal with it are exile. So you exile VV instead of deleting it, then they can't recur it, right? So your removal should have exile, or you can run graveyard hate, so you pull the card out of graveyard before they can, and or life gain. So if he puts a lot of pressure on with the pings, you can take a lot of that pressure off, and it buys you a lot of time. The deck, even though it has almost unlimited card draw, it doesn't have unlimited minions. So you buy time so that you just trade. It's not going to have trample or flying, and then you eliminate all their creatures and you win just by attrition. So I actually played a deck last month where I never lost to the BV deck, um, and I didn't run any graveyard hate. So there are ways around it. But keep those in mind as we build the deck. Exile, graveyard hate, life gain. The other deck. So there's always two sides that you always have to beat. If you want to make it to Mythic, it's most powerful deck. A lot of times it's going to be very prominent. You're going to see it a lot, and then probably just the most common deck, which is a lot of times tier two deck that just a lot of people like. And currently it's the Chocobo deck, and it runs two key pieces. It's probably faster for landfall. Basically, it's going to play lands, it's going to put counters on, and then it makes the creatures huge, and they just trample over everything, so you can't jump block it. It's basically unblockable damage straight to the face. Life gain, you're not going to be able to do because these creatures are going to get too big too fast, so you really got to remove them. You don't need instant speed removal though, so your exile removal will work. So you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, but you need to run a bunch of removal, probably 6 to 8 single target removals, maybe two board wipes. Um, Obviously, you can try to outspeed them, but you're probably going to want to run that much removal. So we're going to keep all that in mind. We're going to try to target 6 to 8 single target, maybe 2 to 3 board wipes. We're going to want to have life gain. We want to exile or graveyard hate for all three if we can. So some other things just to keep in mind. There is like some Acheron synthesizer that still exists, and it'd be nice to throw in a couple extra wins when you can. So keep in mind that we want maybe artifact removal or enchantment removal. So in our 8 removal, it'd be nice to have something that targets both of those. Uh, There's some graveyard recursion stuff that still exists, which again would be targeted with the graveyard hate. But a lot of decks are doing graveyard hate, so that's kind of coming down. And then there's the life gain decks where maybe we want to run something that stops life gain or an alternate win con. But those other suggestions, besides the ones that target the Chocobo deck and VV, are really just there to add bonus wins. It's okay if we don't hit any of those criteria, but just something to keep in mind. So let's begin building our deck. So we'll look again at the Trash Tactician. Um, as always, I like to start by looking at tribal synergies. So this one has one right on its own card. I'm going to want raccoons to add more mana. So start there. So I'm going to look for raccoons that do the things that we talked about. A lot of those are our removal spells, but still graveyard hate. They're still maybe it exiles something, or maybe it does more of what our card does. So more ramp, more exile cards to play. So that's what we're really looking for in our raccoons. So this one's good because I'm going to be wanting to spend up to 4 mana anyway, and card draw, card cycling is fine, especially if I plan on playing a lot from exile. My hand is not really going to matter, so I mark that down as a maybe. I have one already, so I'm just going to throw it in there to keep it in mind. And a lot of times when building decks, I like to have multiple ideas, and then as I play the deck, cut some ideas and move more into others. So it's nice to even just test. Here's another raccoon that ramps, so I only have one. I don't know how much it'll be milling the 7 cards. It is rare, so I'm gonna leave it here. Another testable idea, but it does add more ramp, which is nice. Here's our graveyard hates. It's a raccoon graveyard hate, so I don't need to do the common enchantments that do graveyard hate. A lot of colors have them. There's artifacts that do it, uh, but this will be our graveyard hate. It's great because it can also do more than one card. So if there's anybody that's mass dumping into their graveyard, I can clear out everything I need, and it gives it a buff. So it's all our criteria: raccoon and graveyard hate. Fantastic. That might be terrible, but not for now. So here we talked about maybe we need to remove artifacts for the simulacrum decks. Um, Black discard often runs card draw. That's an enchantment, and you need to clear that out so that you don't lose too much value. I'm gonna hold off. Gifting a card is really powerful because I mean, part of the removal is you need to gain card advantage. So just having a 4/4 reach creature probably isn't enough. Um, so I'm gonna hold off on this, but something I will keep in mind. This is excellent. It's a creature that grows with us as we expand for bonus mana and a raccoon. Everything we want. And I have 4 of them probably because it's an uncommon. Awesome. And that's it for raccoons. Now we're sitting at, you know, 14 raccoons, so I think that's probably enough raccoon synergy. We can move on to the other part of the card. So I want more ramp. Um, and so I can already see, what I want is I want to play the forest, have a 1-drop that ramps, so I can play Myriad on turn 3, and then I can play a 5-drop. I don't know what our top end curve is going to be, but I think there's only one card in the game that gives mana on turn 1, and it's a very famous card, Manowar Elves. It's why it's really popular, fixes all these problems, gives you a creature to sacrifice to when black asks you to. Um, great, great, great card. So now turn 3 with this, or even with Wondertail Mentor, I can now play a turn 5 card. So the goal with this, it has the life gain, but it's not really what we're working on. I want to be able to get to 8 mana, so I have the ramp to do so. And then I'm going to exile 2 cards, and I want to do that repeatedly. Um, so it'd be nice if I exiled cards, it did something. So whenever exile, let's say cast. So if I cast from exile, should be good. Yeah. I want something to happen. So whenever I cast creature from exile, oh, I'm not doing non-creatures, right? I'm going to be casting a lot of creatures from exile. Um, Pirates. This gives me more exile. This gives me more exile. Maybe more exile. Here we go. So whenever I cast a spell from exile, deal 2 damage, I gain 2 life. So now I'm going to be pinging things down. We kind of got a win con. Just going to be exiling every turn and hitting for 2 and gaining 2 life. So this is great. It's on the 5-drop window too. So 1, turn 2, turn 3. I got a planeswalker down, hard to remove, and if I proc anything, I am doing damage and gaining life. Um, so it'd be nice if the trash tactician could self-sustain itself. So I expend 8, and then in the 2 cards I draw, I get 8 mana. Now I either need to play a lot of 8 cost cards because odds are I'm going to draw a land and something, or I double the amount of cards I draw, right? So I'll draw a card and I'll have 4 cards in exile to play, and with that I should be able to hit 8. Now granted, I do have a lot of low end cards right now. So I know for a fact there are cards that double it, especially now that I have white in there. So we're gonna build a 3-color deck, and I know Annie joins up exists, and you'll learn this as you look at cards. But Annie joins up. Hey, it's gonna fill in one of our criteria right now, right? I need 6 removalize 0. It's gonna deal the 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker and opponent's control. So there's our removal. Boom, check the box, and then it gives me this ability. If a triggered ability of a legendary creature I control triggers, that triggers an additional time. It will help. I can play it on turn 3. 1, 2. I mean, I can play it either way, even if I don't hit another one, right? So I mean, even if this was turn 2, on turn 3, which is when Hydra comes out, so I really need that. So I'm gonna add this to the deck. So now we're doubling legendary creatures, which is phenomenal, and pinging people with exile, and I got a lot of support. All right, so I want to be exiling cards and playing from exile, and I think play exile will do it. Right, exile 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards until your end step. So I'm going to look for ones that I can do a lot of. Maybe if I was running a bunch of Kavu, I mean, Leyline of Transformation would be nice. But it's warp, so it does exile itself. So maybe that's kind of interesting. This would exile a card each turn, so it's just another card to exile. It is 3 red. I do have the ability to gain extra red, but 3 pips is still a lot for a card that does nothing that turn. Uh, Maybe the legendary creature, I'd be more tempted to double that effect. This would work. You still give it put it in the trial phase of this deck. So I'm going to run a lot of maybe one ofs, just because then I can switch off it as I learn what I really want to do. But this would exile cards. It's legendary, so it will trigger twice. Um, does damage to the opponent. So it would do if I don't play them, and it'll do damage if I do play them. So that's pretty nice. Um, nope, board wipe, but I'm now running white, so I can get better board wipes than that. Hilarious, but same thing with the 3 pips and doesn't do a whole lot. This would exile not a lot of growth, so you probably get to 7 mana. Um, 8 damage is a pseudo board wipe, so I kind of like that as board wipe adjacent, I suppose. It might be useful to just run as a land. Um, um, Here we go. So when Hugs enters, I can exile the top X cards of my library till the end of your turn. Play those cards, so it's also legendary creatures, and it can cost up to 8. So it can proc, it can exile a crap load. Let me play additional land for more growth, and with that growth, do a lot of damage. So I will probably be running more of these. Just fits so well in the deck. I would add 4, but like in the trial phase, I think sitting with this in the core of the deck is really nice. Um, I'm not going to waste the wild card yet. I have quite a few because I'm so cautious with them, so I recommend other people be as cautious too. All right. This looks like a good core to the deck. So I got I average 3, which is kind of high, but I got a lot of ramp. Generally, I want to sit at 2.4 to 2.6 range. Um, but I think we're sitting pretty good. So would we listen to beginning to beat the key cards? I need 6 to 8 removal. So far I have 4. So I need 4 removal, which put me at 57, and 2 board wipes would put me at 59, and then I add 1 land. So I think we're pretty much the deck needs to be got some trial ideas that I could cut and adjust. So let's add the removal. I would like to exile since I'm putting white. It's going to be super easy to find all of these. If you're doing an ETB trigger, I really recommend Getaway Glamour. I don't think it's used enough, but I am not. Fun thing with Sheltered by Ghosts in this deck is that Ward is actually a trigger. And so on any legendary creature I have that on, they'd actually have Ward 4. But because I'm going to run board wipes, I don't want to put anything I'm removing back on the battlefield. So I'm not going to. It's also a good way to gain life gain too, to do that double check off. But I already have life gain. Already have life gain. So should be good on that front. Um, that's the new common one. Oh, this would probably be better, same cost. Non-land permanent. Could put 1/1 counters on there. I don't know how much I want to be looking at speed. I'd rather just ensure that when I remove it, it stays removed. Um, Only thing is this doesn't do planeswalkers. Does this do planeswalkers? So this doesn't do planeswalkers, but does have ward too. So I'm just gonna start here. Might look at doing a different removal, but since I'm running white, that's fun. And destroy all is my board wipe. Now, if you're running against, you don't have the growth of green, I recommend doing 4 or less because you don't want to get overrun before you can get your board wipe off. Uh, Day of Judgment is a pretty standard one I would run. A lot of people run split up, but I think having a full reset is better. I mean, I guess white has authority of councils to keep it tapped, but full reset guaranteed. No need for authority of councils is nice. A lot of control decks I'd recommend Fumigate just because it gets your life back up. Again, double checking the box. Board wipes and life gain. It's really good, but I'm going to go with Expel the Interlopers. It'd be nice if I get overrun by big minions that I have the ability to keep some of my mana growth up. You know, even the Muerra, the Trash Technician, is 2 attack power. So this is the route I'm choosing to go. And like I said, I'd add one more land. This deck is at 3-1, which is higher than I'd like. I might need to readjust a little bit, but um, which benefits from having the extra land. And I would say 26 to 24 is where you want your lands. So I generally run one extra land anyway. And then in my real greedy decks, I run 26. Um, so I think this is a healthy. I could cut a card for a land or cut a card for more of my core idea here if I want to run wild cards. When you're doing lands, I've covered this other times, but I'm assuming you guys are new. Uh, Not having a mentor tapped is really the way to go. So any of these, any of these, any of these. So with that, I will be going, and thanks for your time.